Hey Wyatt, why is so late? Now what time already? Yes, afternoon in Ukraine. 3 days, never do summary. I know lah, scheduling problem. It's my excuses. Your excuses is weak. Come on, Steven's dad. Just do what I asked you to come here to do. Okay, you're just like my son. Useless. Oi, okay lah, I start lah. Hello everybody, welcome to Defense Politics Asia. For those pro-Ukrainian viewers, there is a trigger warning for this video. You may suffer from very bad emotional damage while watching this video. Maybe many times. So I tell you early lah. So your emotional damage can be more gentle. Like your Ukrainian offensive hits like a feather, very soft. And remember, press the like button or you'll be like a failure, like my son and Wyatt of DPA. Hey, shut up. Failure. Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 117 to 119, basically for 20th to 22nd of June. You also have a bit of info coming from today, 23rd of June. Sorry for no summary for the past few days. So what happened was that for the 117 one, there was not much news. 118 there was a lot of news, but I was busy because of work, and also it was my wedding anniversary. So it's today, and yeah. So let's start off with missile strikes, I guess. The Russian Air Force strike the Air Force base of Axis. So this was fired from coastal missiles, Onyx missiles, Bastion, Onyx missile from Bastion coastal missile system, which is actually launched from here in Crimea. So they destroyed a Beretta TB2 vehicle control station and 2 UAVs that's on the ground. Sounds like an overkill. And other than that, there was there was a UAV suicide bombing of a UAV. So there's this video going viral of a UAV flying all the way into Rostov, in the Russian region, and they actually crash into one of this oil refinery and caught fire. There's a rather small, it's an explosion. It's not huge, but the fire is contained. So a lot of pro-Ukrainians are celebrating that. And then let's see, any more shelling. Okay, the naval port at Ochakiv was struck by Russia. I believe I have reported this before, and so the port is pretty much unusable now, I guess. So at Crossborder Shellings, not Shaolin, Shaolin monk. So the Shaolin monks attacked Kremyach and Seredina Buda. So Seredina Buda has been like almost a daily thing. The Russian forces constantly hit this city of Seredina Buda, which is just next to Russia. I believe there might be a very strong entrenchment or positioning of Ukrainian troops in this area, which is why this location constantly get hit. So is Kremyach. Or it could be a case where these two positions is where the Russians plan to enter from, should they decided to enter Ukraine in the northern side. So which is why these two locations is constantly getting hit. And there is also shelling reported at Myrophilia. So on the Russian side, Kusherov is also hit, and but it was hit by the Ukrainian side. So they were like basically attacking each other. So according to the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, they claim that there is actually 3 Russian BTG better tactical groups in Kursk and Bryansk region. So if you're not familiar, Kursk is this region, this is Kursk, and this is Bryansk. So together, the Ukrainians estimated there are 3 BTGs from the 1st Tank Army of the Western Military District, as well as airborne troops, which they are now covering the entire border section. So in Bryansk, they also observed the deployment of S-300 V4 anti-aircraft. So they are not aware that there are S-300 deployments within Bryansk region. So that's why we are not really seeing the crazy helicopter and aircraft raid into Russian territory. Maybe that's the reason, or maybe it's just a waste of time, which they finally realized. So moving on to the Southern Front. So, and the Southern Front, the big news was the attack on Zemeny Island, or Snake Island, which is more commonly known as. So there was this bombardment attempt by the Ukrainian forces. They tried to attack, but the attack seemed to have failed. So according to the Russian Ministry of Defense statement on the Snake Island attack, they say that at 5 a.m., according to viewers, they told me this is actually Russian time. So Ukrainian time is actually 4 a.m. The Ukrainian forces tried to capture Snake Island. So the operation started off with the massive launch of air and artillery attack on Snake Island to disembark, basically chase away the troops and capture it. So in this attack, let's zoom in more. Oh, okay, too much. In this attack, 15 UAVs are launched. These are at including 2 Bayraktar TB2s. The Russians also detected a Global Hawk RQ-4, the strategic reconnaissance UAV of the US Air Force, in the high altitude near Snake Island. So, which means that the US is supporting this operation, because Global Hawk can fly at a very, very high altitude. So, and it's probably feeding intel to the Ukrainians, because the Ukrainians actually do not have this means of reconnaissance like what the US can do. And the UAVs, the Ukrainian UAVs are also supported by S-300 from their combat position near Tuzla and Ochakov. So Tuzla is somewhere near the coast. I actually found it in the quick report. You can find it in the quick report. And also Ochakov is actually Ochakov, the naval port that I mentioned that was hit. So they are kind of using S-300 to protect the airspace. So missile and artillery strikes were launched, including Tushka-U ballistic missiles and Uragan multiple launch, as well as the M777 155mm Gundams robots, which is here. So this is Kubansky Island, which is where the M777's artillery is actually deployed. The distance here is around 35 kilometers. So some people mention that this is nonsensical, because they say that the range is only 30 kilometers. So, which means that the Americans actually provided them with the enhanced version of the shells, which can actually go up to 40 kilometers. So it is possible that the M777s are deployed here to shell at the island. But however, there's actually no reports about the shelling from the M777 being successful or something. At least not from what I saw from the pro-Russian sources. Maybe they fired and they hit the island, maybe they didn't. But they are very confident that they were there. So as they said, M77 is at the Kubansky Island. I think all the ballistic missiles are from near Odessa. So what happened was that the air defense at the island, there's Pencil and Tor. They have destroyed all these missiles and rockets launched towards the island. So actually none of the rockets and missiles actually hit the island. But however, there is still satellite images coming from pro-Russian sources because they actually bought it. They actually spend money to buy Maxa satellite images. I'm very surprised that Maxa will sell it to them. So anyway, they actually get satellite images of the island, and they actually saw some burning spots. So maybe those are actually from the artillery strike, because none of the missiles are reportedly hitting the island. So the intercepting of the missiles and rockets are actually very successful. So not just that, they also destroyed 13 UAVs and 4 Tuskar-U missiles, 21 projectiles of the ray gun, multiple launch rocket. So 21 projectiles. I'm not sure about Urugan's capacity. Maybe this is three vehicles, or maybe 2. I'm not really sure. So as I mentioned, no Ukrainian destruction have reached Snake Island. So this is probably referring to the missiles and rockets. And so this unsuccessful attack actually disrupted the Ukrainian plans to actually land on Snake Island. So there is no landing, and the entire operation has been abandoned as per the failure of the artillery strikes. So instead, the Ukrainians decided to attack the gas platforms. So there are some gas rigs around here, like oil rigs, gas rigs, and they hit 2 of them. These are civilian gas rigs, though. There is no military station there. So according to the Russian MOD statement as well, they also have this. They say that Ukrainians, after convinced that they have failed to seize the island, they decided to attack the Russian-owned gas infrastructures in this area, 40 kilometers away from the Snake Island. So a Bayraktar TB2 attacked BK1 and Krim-1 gas production platforms. So as a result, there is a massive fire at BK1, and there is no reports, as I understand so far, of the civilian casualties from this attack. But pro-Russian sources are rather they are rather confident there are some serious injury or even people dying from this attack. So they are rather angry about this. But to be honest, this is war. The Russians do this on a daily basis on the Ukrainians. So nothing particularly surprising, since the Russians are also hitting a lot of Ukrainian oil facilities anyway. So as a result, the Russians actually launched a counter-offensive. They launched the Onyx cruise missiles at the Skony military air base, Odessa, and they also attacked and destroyed hangars for TB2 UAVs. So they actually attacked this operational airbase at Odessa as well as at Artsis. So these are the counter-offensive as a result of this Snake Island attack. So this is the Odessa front, the report from the Odessa front. Moving on to the Mykolaiv front. And the Mykolaiv front, there is rumors that the Ukrainians have captured Kaiselivka, but this is debunked by the pro-Russian sources. They say that there is no such thing that had happened, and I'm inclined to believe on the Russian side, at least for this. So because there is really not much other reports. In fact, I'm not even sure if there's fighting now at Kaiselivka at all. So these attacks here might have all ended, because this is the last report as 19 June, and we are already 4 days in. There is no updates regarding all this battle here, which means that there is unlikely to be any more battles here. And this is actually corroborated from the statements from the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. So in the latest statement or operational information from the Ukrainian MOD, they say that the Russians are focusing their effort on preventing, so their main effort is actually to prevent Ukrainian counter-offensive actions in Kherson and Mykolaiv region. Very interesting statement. So they say that the Russians are carrying out engineering equipment positions, and in the Mykolaiv direction, the Russians deployed artillery units in certain areas, which might as well don't say. And in the future, they are now using their crystal ball, and they say that in the future, the Russians will attempt to conduct assault actions in the direction of Keselivka, Porovsky, and Oleksandrivka, Luparev, and in order to enter the administrative border of the Kherson region are not excluded. Oh, so sorry, this is actually themselves. So they say that they actually telling you that in the future they might actually launch an attack, which means this entire offensive has died. Because they say in the future attempts to conduct assault actions to enter Kherson is not excluded. So the offensive actions have ended. So actually, sorry, just now I read this wrongly, which means that these attacks are all no more. There is no more offensive left. The entire Kherson offensive has died. Even Snehurivka, I think, is died. There is heavy fighting over there, but this attack entirely fizzled out. And in fact, the Russians captured Novopetrivka, Kalinivka, as well as Buhanivka. And so this is like a snafu situation where you are supposed to capture towns and they actually lost towns. So Sukhoi 25 will shot down over Povomaisky as a result. And this is actually reported by a pro-Ukrainian, or maybe just a Twitter account. And there is this report by the MOD of Russia that Sukhoi 25 is shot down over Belozerka. And actually, I believe this might be actually the same aircraft. So one happened to say it's Povomaisky, the Russian says Belozerka, which is just next to each other. So this might be actually the same aircraft. Just want to highlight. And there is also a Sukhoi 25 shot down over Shobana Delina. This is much earlier. Because you see this 16919, 16919. This is okay, forget it. Oops, I shouldn't have cursed. Anyway, the entire Davydiv front, there is actually nothing happening other than artillery exchanges. There is also no changes in the Kryvyi front. There is intel that there is tank reinforcement arriving at Korivka. Several tanks were sent to the area of Korovka. So this is the only intel that we get from this region. In case you go to the map, you can actually find this map at defensepoliticsasia.com/Ukraine. All these hiking icons are actually known Ukrainian positions, and we have some known Russian positions as well. So these are all positions of the troops, because you can't possibly have troops in every single town. So these are the concentration of troops in these areas based on the reported information from both sides. So in case you are wondering why are there so many pimples around here, and that's all from the southern front. So in case you are wondering, if you are new here, this is a known operational airbase at Kryvyi. There's a one at this one is at Vonosensk, and then this is the Odessa one. So that means I should actually add one more for Artsis, right? So, but never mind, forget it. Okay, let's just add it. Operational airbase, known operational airbase at Artsis. I think I spelled wrong. Please. So just put this here. Artsis, yeah. So. And that's all for the southern front. Moving on to the Zaporizhzhia Line. Zaporizhzhia Line, there is heavy bombardment on Orikhiv and Huyaipo area. The Russians are bombarding these areas very heavily, but there's nothing else really. The Ukrainians shelled Vasilivka, so I think they damaged some gas line or something, but it's nothing significant in terms of ground assaults happening in Zaporizhzhia Line. Nobody really care about this area in a significant way. So moving on to Donetsk Front. In the Donetsk Front, or Donetsk Front, or someone in the comments told me to pronounce this as Donetsk. So Donetsk Front, the Ukrainians attacked Pavlivka. So this was coming from the previous attempt to cut off Pavlivka from Yehorivka. There was this offensive in between Shevchenko, Yehorivka and Pavlivka. They're actually trying to attack and then cut off this road, the Ukrainians. But however, this offensive attempt failed, and we are not even sure if the Ukrainians are still here. But there is this report that they are attacking Pavlivka. So otherwise, in fact, I'm not even sure if there's any fighting at Velika Novosilka. Might not have, There's also probably no attack at Novomykhailivka, and all this offensive around at Donetsk area here, even Marinka, this 20th. So all this might all not be it might not be happening at this moment. So this attempt at Marinka I might have missed previously. There was this attempt to attack from the Russian side, reported by the from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, but it did not bear fruit for the Russians, because this ugly looking horse is very, very heavily entrenched region by the Ukrainian side. The fighting here has not bear fruit for at least 3 months already. So 2 or 3 months. So it's nothing new. There is still no changes to Avdiivka area. The Russians are actually in the southern and the eastern side of the city, but they haven't really have any breakthrough yet. The entire area here is stagnant now. Previously, there is this mail organ going into Novo-Kalinove. I have retracted it because there isn't any more news, and it's unlikely that Novo-Kalinov or Kalinove is actually captured by the Russians. Similarly, on the New York area, the fighting at the southern side of New York seems to also died out. There isn't any progress over there. Coming to the Bakhmut Front, this is Bakhmut city, and the southern side, the fighting at Novo-Luhansk seem to have stopped. We haven't seen anything on Novo-Luhansk for a very long time. However, the fighting now is actually focusing on Semihirya as well as Kodema. So Kodema is here. So the Russians are attacking from multiple directions to capture these 2 locations, probably to encircle the Ukrainian forces at Zolote-Hirske thermal power plant as well as Novo-Luhansk, because this Novo-Luhansk is actually an entrenched position. You can see the number of entrenchment pre-war. So all these are entrenchment pre-war. You can actually see there's a proper entrenchment all around here. So this the Russians seems to have trouble capturing this, and also at Zolote-Hirske power plant. So I got prompted by one of the viewers saying the history legend channel mentioned about they actually mentioned me, telling me to help to indicate all the industrial areas, because he said that the industrial areas, the industrial plants and the buildings are actually very reinforced, and these are actually perfect fortresses for the Ukrainians to defend from, and these areas are actually very strategic and very hard to defeat. Much more difficult to defeat than any entrenchment or forest lines. So he mentioned about indicating all the major industrial areas. So I'll probably do that maybe someday soon, which also might explain why Zolote-Hirske power plant is so hard to capture. The Russians still have not captured it yet. This I should delete this. I reported that before. So the Russian forces has reportedly entered Zaitsevo, and there is fighting reported also near Vyshna. So this is actually old information, sorry. So the Russians are trying to capture Zaitsevo. So looks like they want to not just encircle these 2 areas, but they want to expand this area and make the front line very far away, so that rescue attempts and any attempt to punch through the lines to evacuate these forces will be undoable. So that might be the case. The Russians captured the town of Klinovoye, or Klinov or Klinovoye. I don't know why I always pronounce this wrongly. Klinovoye. So with this capture, they for sure have total fire control over this road now. That is totally not possible to go through this road. The Russian forces is also reportedly around 6 kilometers away from Bakhmut now, and so this indication, this arrow here, is actually very accurate. Fighting continued at Pokrovsky. The from my understanding, they have not captured this city yet, this town yet. Fighting continue for Yakovlivka, Bilohorivka, Brestov. This offensive by the Ukrainians is no more. I haven't seen anything on Nyakov or Vasilivka. I think the entire offense is gone. I'm going to delete this in front of you, just to let you know, it's no more. This dispute of Rubivka is also invalidated because of what I'm about to tell you over here at the Zolote-Hirske Front. So I've deleted that point. So at the Zolote-Hirske Front, a major development happening over at the northern side of the Hirske. So the Russian forces have captured Ustinivka, and they actually continue to progress another 2 kilometers northwest, that means along the river, towards Bilohora. So now fighting is at Bilohora, and on the west of it, at Myrna Dolena, the Russians has captured it, and they continue to progress. So they actually captured this town without resistance. That means there is no defenders in the village, and they continue to progress to Pelisne. So I actually reported them moving to Pelisne, and hours later, it was reported that Pelisne has been captured by the Russian forces. So which also indicates that this village here on the western side of Myrna Dolena is also undefended, which is why the capture is so fast. And then from the south, from Rubivka direction, they have captured Rai Oleksandrivka. So, and then very quickly, they also was reported to have captured Lukutivka. So the Rai Oleksandrivka forces is coming from Rubivka, and the one that captured Lokustivka is actually coming from Pelisne. So the two forces from both sides actually met, and they actually closed the entire Hirske Zolote region. So this is effectively now encirclement. The Russians also captured Orikhov, and they are actually moving towards Hirske. And in fact, so they are moving towards Hirske, and in fact, this is actually corroborated by a video that was shot just underneath this bridge. So I'm not going to show the video. I've shown it in the quick update. So I believe that if you are a true DPA supporter and fan, you will have watched it. If you have not watched it, so disappointing. So anyway, I'm not going to show the video. So anyway, they shot the video here, which means that up to a kilometer from this point is definitely safe for journalists, which means the Russian forces has already progressed to this area or even further towards Hirske. There's already reports of and videos coming out of troops surrender. I have already seen it on pro-Russian channels. So there are some Ukrainian forces are already surrendering within this area. So I didn't watch too much into the videos. I didn't dig too much. So I'm not sure where is the location because I was busy to say it. So there is no more news regarding Zolote 3. Not sure if the fighting is going on. Previously, there was fighting here. But because of this massive retreat, because there is this report on the 21st that the Ukrainian forces had allegedly withdrawn to Bakhmut. And we then have this Russian Ministry of Defense corroboration that the 57th Mechanized Infantry Brigade that has been defending Hirske, Pelisne, Rubivka area, they refused to obey the order of their command, and they have abandoned all their positions after losing 60% of the troops. So this is from the Ministry of Defense. So this actually corroborated the information coming from pro-Russian sources where the Ukrainian forces actually withdrawn Hirske Zolote. So we have the pro-Russian sources first come out with this statement, and then we have the corroboration from Russian MOD. Today, the Russian MOD actually come out with detailed statement on this withdrawal. So I will read this. In the 34th Battalion of the 57th Motorized Infantry Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, they were defeated in the village of Myrna Dolena. They lost in 2 days 150 people killed and 450 wounded, which means the attack on Myrna Dolena is actually extremely intense, and there's likely to be very, very heavy artillery strike on this area, which is why you can have so many people dying in 2 days. 150 killed, 450 wounded. So in each company of this battalion, there is actually no more than 15 to 20 soldiers. So one company by right, you should actually have a at least double of this number. So the junior commander abandoned their subordinates and deserted the combat area. Less than 50% of the personnel remained in the units of the 30th Mechanized Brigade. So this is a separate one. Just now it was the 57 Motorized Infantry, right? This is the 30th Mechanized Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces in the village of Klinovoye. So Klinovoye is actually on here. So this is a separate unit, and less than 50% is left, and then is a result of artillery strikes. So 170 soldiers and officers were evacuated from the combat area with serious injuries. So, which is why there's this actually corroborates the information from pro-Russian sources that Klinovoye has been captured by Russian forces, because the Russian MOD did not mention the capture of Klinovoye, but this statement actually corroborates that the Ukrainian forces have withdrawn from this area and the Russians have captured indeed. So this is also the reason why I want to explain. A lot of people, I know you guys have been commenting in comments to tell me to indicate units, who are actually fighting who, which unit is fighting which unit in which area. And I want to highlight this is the reason why I don't. Because despite you can call it, the 34th Battalion of the 57th Motorized Infantry Brigade is fighting in this area, but actually there is actually no more than 15-20 soldiers within each company, which means that there is actually the battalion can be a misnomer. It might not even be a battalion. So all these unit namings are just a distraction, I feel, to understand what's the situation on the ground. I can say that the 10th division is fighting here, but actually 10th division only got 1%. How would you know? You wouldn't know, because we wouldn't know. The information about unit information, which unit is fighting where, what is the strength, are all classified information on both sides. So you are not going to get all this information other than speculation. And if we are going to appreciate the strategic situation based on guesswork, I think it's not very productive. So which is why I don't do that. So this is the situation here at the Zolote-Hirske area. I believe Hirske and Zolote, there isn't much troops left because of the major withdrawal. I believe my own guess is that there's only a few hundred soldiers left. Maybe those are abandoned by their comrades, and the Russians were now going to sweep through Zolote and Hirske. Maybe we'll see a report, the statement of capture of these two cities in the next few days. Yesterday I mentioned in 1 day. I actually underestimated the size of this area. So they will take a few days to sweep through the entire area, and we are probably very soon will actually hear official statement of the capture of Zolote and Hirske. Some people ask me about all these pimples here. The reason why the pimples are still there is because I have no information about them. So, and some people say these are previously already under Donetsk People's Republic or Luhansk People's Republic areas. I actually don't know. So anyway, once Zolote and Hirske is captured, I will close up this entire area and we can delete all these pimples away. So so don't fret about them. Just know that this is where the Ukrainian forces are known to be. Not really here. I don't think they'll be here anyway. So because they're so far away from the fronts now. So this is the Hirske Zolote front. There is no information about Bobrov. So I really don't think this is real. I think this is nonsense. Yeah, maybe my initial statement report has been correct all this while, that this is actually Russian control. So now the Russians are pushing Bilahora, and in fact from Luskutivka, the Russians are now already attacking Vovchoryarivka, which is actually very fast, because from our experience, right, we have been covering this war for 4 months now. the Russians, after a major capture, tends to rest for 2-3 days. But this is not resting. They are just rushing through. They are now, blitzing through the lines. They are not allowing the Ukrainians to entrench themselves. So the forces is now reported by the Ukraine Defense Ministry that they are now engaged in offensive action in the direction of Volchoyarivka, which is here. Volchoyarivka. So, and this is corroborated by pro-Russian sources that the Russian forces is now already fighting on the outskirts of Volchoyarivka, which is this. So the Russians are now going for this, which actually ties up nicely with the known objective of why they want to capture Mykolaiivka, that the prime objective is actually Verkhan or Kamyanka, or this oil refinery region here. This is their primary objective, because with the capture of this location, they can actually control this entire junction here, this road between Zolote-Hirske and Verkhan or Kamyanka, and the entire resupply, the major resupply route to Lysychansk will be entirely closed off, leaving Bilohorivka as the only route, a very long route along the entire river to via Novodruzhev to actually reinforce or resupply. And however, this entire road here is actually under Russian artillery range. The Russian artillery can actually bombard this entire road. So with this capture, there will be an operational encirclement of Lysychansk and Severodonetsk and any forces that's remaining within this area. So we can tell that the Russians are actually clearly going for this oil refinery region here. So moving further north, there is no updates regarding Zaporizhzhia. In fact, there is actually no updates regarding Severodonetsk. Fighting continues to rage. There is a video of Ukrainian fighting at this position, which is actually corroborates the front line, that they are actually fighting right here. The video was shot here on the streets, and this is actually exactly where the border I have actually drawn, the actual verified border. So they are fighting right at the border here against the Russian troops. So that this video doesn't change the front line, which also shows that this entire industrial area continues to be very hard to defeat by the Russian forces. The Ukrainians continue to hold this position, and but the Russians are now trying to encircle this entire industrial area to prevent any resupply and reinforcement. So situation continues to be tense in this region, but there is no more intel regarding Severodonetsk, because everyone's attention is at the golden hate. Zolote means gold, so Hirske, so it's like the golden hurt very well, emotional damage. So that's all. I have nothing else for you at the Luhansk front. So moving on to the Izyum front. As you can see, I added a lot of polygons here, all these blue color rocks, because this seems to be different commands, different Ukrainian troops. They are defending all these areas, and because they behave differently. So the Ukrainians are now reported fighting at Tyanivka and Pryshep. These are reported by pro-Russian sources. Boris Rozhin, I believe he's a pro-Russian source. So he's fighting. So there is fighting reported at Tyanivka and Pryshep, despite this area has already been captured by the Russian forces. So, and there is also fighting reported still at near Bohorodeshne, which means the Ukrainians are continuing to hold up this position. They are maybe pushing back to prevent the Russians to push nearer to Sloviansk. There is no fighting reported at Ryhorodok, which means my assessment is correct that the Russians have abandoned attempts to capture Ryhorodok. Given how near it is from Sloviansk, it is not practical, because this distance is only 5 kilometers. Reinforcement resupply is too convenient for the Ukrainians. So for the Russians, this is actually not a very advantageous position to actually attack. So they are now concentrating on this area, So my opinion is, so there is also fighting at Krasnopelia. They haven't captured Krasnopelia yet, and there's actually dispute whether Mazanivka is actually captured, because there is artillery shelling reported near this area. So from another source that I read was that the fighting is actually within this forested area here, south of Mazanivka. So when they say fighting at the Mazanivka, it might be referring to the forest south of it. There is a Sukhoi 25 shot down near Mazanivka, so which also indicates the intensity of fighting within this region, where the Ukrainians continue to send in air force and air support to actually fight in this area. My own strategic opinion is that the Russians will only want to hold up a certain positions, a certain line. They will not go for Slovians because there is too much Ukrainian troops around this area, too easy for reinforcement. I still feel that their main objective is Bavinkov in order to cut off resupply to Slovians and Kramatorsk. So, and fighting is now reported at Kuruka, which actually corroborates a little bit of what I'm trying to say. And because previously there is no fighting at Kuruka. However, the Russians still have not captured Dubrovnik or Vernopilia. The situation here continues to be much of a stalemate. According to pro-Russian sources, the Ukrainians continue. So this is actually the Izyum offensive from the Ukrainian. They continue to send in small groups of forces from Protopopivka and Petrivke into the forest to disrupt and distract the Russians from their offensive south of Izyum. So these small groups of forces continue to cause the Russians to need to send in their own small group of forces into the forest area to defend or wipe out all these sabotage groups or recon groups. So it's like a mosquito that refuses to be clapped down. You can't really hit the stupid mosquito. It's just flying around and sucking your blood wherever you are not aware of it. So this fighting at Runevi is no more. So I just deleted it. So there is a position reported at Shevpil. So this is a fortified position reported by the pro-Russian sources, which is why there's a castle here. Moving on to the Balakliya Front. At the Balakliya area, the reported potential offensive still did not happen. Maybe because the forces that have been gathering around here continue to get bombarded by missile strikes and artillery. As a result, they are unable to gather enough forces to actually launch an offensive against Balakliya, which is here. So that's all. Moving on to the Old Kharkiv Front, Old Happy Front at the Kharkiv. So at the Old Happy Front, there is reinforcements reported at Oleksandrivka and Udi. So there are armored vehicles sent to Udi and Oleksandrivka. So they are looking to strengthen the border area here. Not very wise, I feel, but never mind. I'm not the commander. The fighting at Stupivka, Dementivka, Pitomnik. Anyway, previously I mentioned Pitomnik is kernel. It's actually wrong. It's actually nursery. So it's nursery. All this information is there's no information. There's no information about the Kharkiv Front. Nobody wants to talk about Kharkiv Front. So not the Ukrainians, not the Russians. All the information here does not involve ground assault, except that there is fighting continue at Verkhny Saltiv, Upper Saltiv. So there is no clarity regarding all this situation over here. In fact, this Eastern Front offensive at Zaporizhzhia and Komtimlia also have no intel. So the entire Kharkiv Front is a question mark. So there's no updates because everybody is still is very caught up about the action over at Luhansk. So on top of that, what else? Okay, something else I want to talk about is from a DPA viewer. so part of our DPA community. So he had his wife, I think it's Ukrainian, I guess. So his brother, the brother of the wife. So I have intel basically about the situation on the ground from the civilians in Ukraine. So this actually corroborates the pro-Russian information that we get, that the Ukrainians are sending untrained troops to the front. And I have some corroboration because of this information from this DPA viewer. I'm not going to reveal who is he, because we have to make sure that the relative is safe. So on the 25th of May, he told me that the wife's brother have quit the local territorial defense because the territorial defense want him to buy his own equipment. So he don't have the money to buy the kind of equipment, so he quit. So he quit the territorial defense. This is the wife's brother. And then the wife's cousin, who is 20 years old, is currently so this 18th of June, is the most experienced man in his squad. So he was the only guy that was in the army before the war. So which means that his entire unit at the moment is all inexperienced people. He's the only one that is trained. So he told me that maybe the entire unit before the war was pulled apart to spread out to train to be leaders of all these untrained units. On 22nd of June, he told me that they are now sending volunteer defense people to send them to the front. So they just made his wife's cousin go. I think this is a different cousin. So without training and equipment, they are just sending them to the front to plug the gaps, he guessed. So untrained soldiers are now sending to the front. So I replied and asked him. Then he said it happened the other day. So he said the cousin that's in the army has a unit of new guys. So the other cousin is sent to plug gaps. So it's not a good sign for Ukraine. So he says his mother is rather angry. I say rather angry would be an understatement. So this is actually within our DPA community. I have a lot of people can give me information. So this actually corroborates the information that we are hearing from pro-Russian sources, that the Ukrainians are under training, under equipping their new guys, and sending untrained troops and civilians that is totally not supposed to be at the front to the front. So this is separate. This is not propaganda. This is basically things that I'm hearing from our own community, you guys. So if you guys have any information that you want to share with me, you all know where to find me. Telegram, Discord, Twitter, Instagram, a lot of places. So this is the entire situation for the past 3 days. A lot have happened. No good news at all for the Ukrainians, which is why there was this trigger warning for the pro-Ukrainian crowd. So for the day of 117 and 119, 20th to 22nd of June. So if you have not subscribed, do subscribe, and please press the like button, and share this video to your friends and contacts if they are interested in the Ukrainian war. I know the interest is waning, and also this is also why DPA is very important for DPA to also start to cover things outside of the Ukraine war. But of course, we will continue to cover the Ukraine war to our best ability. So to make sure that we are continue to be informed about the actual situation and not get smoked by all this mainstream media and fake news propaganda. And I'll see you in the next update.